Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Blah Poetry Spot presents Words and Shit. I am so excited to get rolling. As always, I have my illustrious co-host, the San Antonio taco poet, Eddie Vega.
Hey, how we
Eddie.
doing?
Ooh.
Eddie changed his shirt, didn't look at his collar.
Eddie's now got a collared shirt. She feeling fancy.
All right, and I have a comfortable chair this time because I finally figured out that if we're going to be sitting down for an hour, I need something like cushion, you know. So that's the secret. That's the secret to this show that we've got going. Really,
I am literally sitting on my coffee table because it is the only thing close enough to the router so that we don't have connectivity issues. But we're gonna make it. I can't believe it's only been a week since the last show. Because it feels like it's been forever, but
oh yeah, it does. We had an amazing artist.
Yeah,
but we have another amazing artist today.
We do. Eddie, tell us, who do we have on our show today?
All right, we've got Wayne Henry. Wayne was raised in South Central LA, exposed to a melting pot of different cultures, which allows for him to have a broad canvas for his work. He moved to Dallas in 2008 and has become a passionate poet who writes each line to watch it come alive through his poetry. Dedicated to bringing awareness to issues such as mental health, oppression, depression, and the concepts of spiritual growth. He's a poet, a teacher, a father, and a P.O.C. enthusiast. Passion with purpose pushes life to new heights. He clearly loves alliteration. He's a 3-time Dallas Slam team member, ranked 5th at IWPS in 2018. Last year, 2019, he kicked my ass at the Southwest Shootout in the Indy Finals. He won the whole thing. So he didn't just kick my ass, he actually kicked everybody's ass. But he did it really nicely, though, I gotta say. He's one of the nicest guys out there in the slam community. So without further ado, we've got Wayne Henry.
Wayne Henry. Where you at, sir? There he is.
How's it going, guys? How's it going?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Still trying to get the...
All right.
I'm doing good.
It's hard when you have to be your own cameraman.
It does.
But yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. You seem to be enjoying the outdoors.
Oh man, I gotta get out. Can't stay indoors for too long. This is insane.
Don't I know it is, especially despite the weather. Sometimes just being outside for a little bit.
Take a nice little walk, and I've never been the type to take walks. Now I'm taking walks and jogging and shit. Like
man, it changes you. Pandemic, quarantine changes people.
I was making food the other day, and I was like missing one like key ingredient. It was literally one ingredient that I needed, and my husband had taken the car to work, so I was without a car, and I was like, I could not use this ingredient, or I could walk to the store, buy this one thing, and walk back. And I was like, yeah, walking sounds like a good idea. Out of this house.
Any reason.
Yeah. Well, before we hand it over to you, Wayne, for all our people that are watching on Facebook, please feel free to use the comment section, shoot some love, ask some questions. We'll be taking your questions throughout the show during the interview. So if there's anything you've ever wanted to ask Wayne Henry, now is the time. Because again, the point of the show is to get to know the person behind the poetry. But first, the poetry. So Wayne, the show is yours for the next 10 to 15 minutes. You know, looking forward to it.
Okay, so we've been in quarantine, and I normally don't really write that much about my emotions and like feelings like that. But again, quarantine brings out all the feels and like the mushy stuff. So this is a breakup poem I wrote, and it's I'll just spit it. I'm not gonna explain it. There you go. I can't remember when fairy tale endings slipped through my reality, when happily ever after became an afterthought, watching the fabric of our love shred itself into dangling thread, the string that ventriloquished our lips into passion. Now pride calls us acquaintances, mere strangers attempting to drink the spirit out the memories we thought we'd share forever. How dare forever rear its ugly head and take off faster than my desire could move. Before we could ever choose, destiny took it upon itself. Maybe time was jealous and took it for itself. like we mortals don't deserve to ride the chariots of the gods. Sitting on a high pale horse with trumpets for teeth, Armageddon calls our name. Armageddon calls for blood, for bone, a pound of flesh that didn't have enough phoenix to rise from the ashes. Our love story will be embered inside a rusty furnace, coughing out dust and regret as smoke fills our veins. The syringe bends away from our skin. It does not want entry. The lethal injections said that we've already killed ourselves so well. That's that. And this piece, again, a lot of my poems are inspired by my kids, so this is one that they inspired. Faith and belief. I struggle with finding the difference between the two. One is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. The other is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something actually exists. The difference begins to look like the shade of hue between ivory and white. And like most things, my children incidentally teach me to view conflict in ways my adult mind could never. When my 14-year-old stepdaughter was 5, she believed in the tooth fairy, had faith that when she places her tooth under the pillow, she will be rewarded with $1 for each tooth by the morning, and had faith that the gift would be placed there for her. She kept faith in her belief that it will all be worth it in the end. Crazy how every time belief and faith find themselves in the same space, they mesh together fantasy and reality. When she was 7, she had an imaginary friend named Herbert. Herbert held shit down. His main job was to conduct the tea party, supply the imaginary tea, and keep conversations interesting amongst the teddy bears that attended. Herbert, no pun intended, was a real one. They say faith comes by sight. Even though she was the only one that could see him, she believed in his ability. Fast forward to today, she's 14. She no longer has imaginary friends that only she can see. She's now developed a belief in a biological father whom she seeks to have faith in. I lost count of all the weekends he's left her waiting on my front porch, how many tea parties he's rain checked, how the tooth fairy and a fucking imaginary friend had been there for her more than he has. But she still holds faith as she asks me if he will be attending the daddy-daughter dance and doesn't. When she makes him a Father's Day card that he doesn't show up to receive, I begin to believe that I am not enough. I lose faith in my ability to be a good stepfather. She asks Wayne, when is he coming? Wayne, where is he? Wayne, is he here yet? She slams the door in my face. She tells me to just leave her alone. But I can't, because reality is nothing like fantasy. It doesn't go away just because you lose faith or stop believing, so I'm still here. When his promises leave her broken and I'm left to piece her back together again, what happens when faith begins to come by sight and faith is based on reality? What do? Well, I do what I've always done, what she has faith in me to do, every single time. I replace her tooth with $1 underneath her pillow. I pull up a chair to the tea party. I kiss that girl on the forehead, look her in the eyes and tell her that her daddy will do better next time. And she believes me. Because faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. That's that piece. I once said in a poem, forgiveness is understanding that to forgive does not mean to forget, but rather remembering, never stand emotionally stagnant inside the wet cement of what breaks you. You might get stuck that way. I say that line as if it were a prayer that I had practiced because I did. This poem is for Anthony Richard Daniels, the man that took the life of my son. I forgive you. You don't get the courtesy of my rage. the havoc of my anger. No Anthony Richard Daniels. Instead, I memorized every scripture of forgiveness like the back of my son's casket. I taught myself to wear mercy like a brand new pair of shoes, or the way suicide wears a noose. See, hate requires so much of my heart, so instead, I'll let you feel the love you ripped from my world. I don't want your sorrow. I want you to carry the burden of holding mine. From this day forth, you are now the pallbearer. Every night you will place 2 tokens over my son's eyes as you pedal him to the afterlife and explain to God the deeds of your wickedness. Forgiveness is not for the weak. It is the attribute of the strong. Without it, life becomes an endless cycle of resentment, and I refuse to carry your regret. I refuse to place your sins at the altar for you. Your skeletons are not mine to wear. You got to bury your own demons, so I'm handing you my forgiveness like it were the Black Plague, like it were the last piece of air on earth. Like every time you speak, you'll taste the oak wood of my son's casket in your mouth. Your teeth will become a funeral procession, a body made of graveyard dirt and quicksand, a walking prison jumpsuit memorial of the light you denied my son from having. See, I can forgive the hurt, but I can't forget what it taught me. To find a way to heal even if it breaks you. My grief will not be heavier than your guilt. Your guilt will no longer haunt me from your prison cell. No, you stay in that fucking box. My boy is now your communion. So take his body as forgiveness, drink his blood, taste his flesh, and choke on his bones. I forgive you. Because my only begotten son has died for your sins. But remember, vengeance still belongs to the Father. That's that. And I want to try out some new shit, man. I've been writing nonstop, and I found myself more so venting than I am actually writing poems. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it just feels good to get it off my chest. I guess sitting in a quarantine kind of. I wrote this poem. It's an ode to 90s R&B. I'm talking about the songs that strip flesh from spirit. So when you hear it, you know it's deliverance, to be born again, baptized in the chorus of melody. To find true love for the first time inside the high notes of Casey and JoJo, begging for the most tender parts of a woman's soul. This is me dealing with broken heart, and all it takes is baby face asking, when will I see you again? Boys to men, mending boys to men, letting you know what love accepts and what the heart will let in. This is an ode to all the songs I loved before I knew what losing love was, or what love does. Just break pride down into a molecule. The microscopic optic of a heart twitch, tweaking the only thing that can keep its heart beating. The first time I heard love was hearing Brandy ask, have you ever loved someone that it made you cry? And I shed tears at the eulogy, burying a shattered soul before it could ever had a chance to say goodbye. This is an ode to 90s R&B, to the pain, to the way love would break me, to the way SWV would save me. The steady bop, the swag, the swing, the revelation of a new beginning. This is the big butt girl and the smile, to the end of the road, to the sweet lady, to a woman's worth, to standing in the rain, to before I let you walk out of my life. This is a thank you to R&B 90s music for showing me love, for breaking me, and loving me enough to heal me. That's that one. We did a versus head-to-head using nothing but 90s R&B, and doing that, it kind of inspired me to write that piece. I fucking love 90s music, man. Nowadays, R&B is not really. I have one more new piece I'm gonna share with y'all. Well, for right now. if I can find it. All right. There are patterns which emerge in our life, circling and returning a new and endless variation of a theme. When I was 6, I hated playing on monkey bars and merry-go-rounds. See, merry-go-rounds triggered a lingophobia, my fear of dizziness, and the monkey bars just didn't make much sense. To hold on so tight to something that causes calluses, blisters, and on hot days, damn near third-degree burns, my own blood on my hands, but if I let go, the pain would slip through my fingers. The playground to me was a spinning death pit. I learned fast to never hold on to what hurts me, to let go. I learned to let go. Life brings you full circle. Pay attention. There's a lesson here. There are patterns which emerge in our life, circling and returning a new and endless variation of a theme. When I was 16, caught in the aftermath of a drive-by shooting, a bullet lodged inside the clavicle of my best friend. I just wanted to stop the bleeding. So I grabbed onto his collarbone. The block spun like a merry-go-round. His blood on my hands, knowing if I let go, his life would slip through my fingers. His body, to me, was a spinning death pit. I learned fast to never let go when someone is hurting. Never let go. I learned to never let go. Life will bring you full circle. Pay attention. There's a lesson there. There are patterns which emerge in our life, circling and returning a new, endless variations of a theme. When I was 26, I fell in love with the woman. She said my heart was a playground in the aftermath of a drive-by. I guess my grip was too tight. I didn't leave enough space in between my fingers for her to breathe. I held her like a bleeding clavicle. She must have had monkey bars for bones. My emotions have in a habit of spinning out of control. So I had to let go. But I have a hard time releasing hemorrhages. I didn't want to see myself bleed out. I never learned to let go in fear of hurting myself. There are patterns which emerge in our life, circling and returning a new and endless variation of a theme. If I loosen the grip on the hemorrhaging clavicle, it allows air to flow while stopping the bleeding. Dizziness can be conquered by closing your eyes and breathing. If you hold on to the monkey bars tight enough, there will be no pain. If I didn't hold her too tight, she would not have bled out of my life. When life brings you full circle, pay attention, there's a lesson there. Letting go does not mean that you don't care about someone or something anymore. It's just realizing that the only person you really have control over is yourself. See, learning the patterns reshapes your thinking, learning that holding on is a form of greed. And when greed replaces the patterns, we become an ill-suited God. Life becomes a loop, teaching you the same pain you refused to learn the first time. Then shall we know that man has come full circle, merry-go-round back to where his origins and life has stemmed from. Letting go, holding on, moving on, releasing that which is hurting you. Pay attention. There was a lesson here. Thank you. Thank you.
Man, that 90s R&B.
Oh,
I gotta tell you, like, there were 3 days in a row during quarantine in the last 2 weeks where I just put 90s R&B from Spotify all day. I don't know what my neighbors are thinking about me, but there's something about this time, you know.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? I don't know, favorite set of songs from that era?
Oh man. I would say anything by Boys to Men. I'll give them all three. On Bended Knee, End of the Road,
Yeah.
and Make
On
Love
Bended
to You.
Knee.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like the God era of music, of R&B music anyway.
I have no input in this part of the conversation because in the 90s, I was very gay and listening to Celine Dion and the Spice Girls. So,
Okay.
yeah.
There's something there. There's something there.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't think I've ever seen a single performance of yours where somebody in the audience, if not everyone in the audience, was crying. You have such a phenomenal way of articulating emotions that just like really like touch deep, you know. How's that writing process for you, you know, to be so vulnerable?
I didn't start writing that way until I figured out why I was writing, which was to get people to understand what I felt, you know. And so every line in those poems, I would say, would this paint the picture for them, right? I wanted to make sure, I didn't want to get up and do a poem and be like, oh, that's a sad poem and I feel sad, you know? I want you to actually feel where I'm coming from and also feel the healing in it as well, you know? I don't want to just stab you in the heart and walk off stage, I go buy my book, you know? I try to bring people through the journey with me, you know? So main thing is like being honest with myself, you know? That's
and how did you set to write them? Was it, I mean, you say every line had to hit. Did you set off by random line by line? Did you do them all at once and then go back to them? What was the process on that?
My process is always write out the poem, write out the thought, right? It's not a poem at first, just write out the thought. And then you go to 5 or 6 lines and you say, well, what am I really saying here? Does it have to be 5 or 6 lines? What's the most precise way I can say this?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, and sometimes like that little part could be the poem, right? And I've got to erase everything around it and dig deeper on that, right? Because you want to dig deep, you want to tell your story, but you don't want them to get lost in your emotions as well, right? So I find like chopping it down. I hate cutting poems, but it has to be done, right? So
the editing process is probably much more painful than the writing process itself.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, I mean,
do you save the lines for another time? For another poem?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I cheat myself if I keep it, you know. I have a bad habit of like deleting whole poems on my phone. Like I don't like it. It's not going the way I want to go. So I just delete it. Man. And I think it makes me work harder, you know?
Yeah.
People hate me. My team hates me for that. I'm like, why did you delete it? Wasn't enough.
They're like, but Wayne, there were 3 lines in that poem we could use in a group piece. Bring it back.
Yep. Man.
Yeah, no, I hear you. One of my friends, when I first started writing, Chris Lee from Austin, he basically said, like in slam, like you only have 3 minutes. So if everything you're not saying is important, like if it's not worth the 5 seconds that it takes you to say it, cut it, get it out of there.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Basically, we want to know.
And that was the hardest part. Huh?
Basically, we want to know, how can we be Wayne Henry?
Shit.
What's the secret?
Go through a lot of pain and heartache and childhood trauma, and boom, you're there.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's too late, I guess.
So one of the things, you know, you read this one beautiful poem about one of your daughters. One of the things you do write about a lot is your kids. Tell us, how many kids do you have? What's going on with your kids?
Oh man, biologically, I have two girls. They both have brothers and sisters who are also raised, so it's a total of 10. 10, yeah.
Okay.
And they're my life. They're all I do. I work, I do poems, I come home. Like I don't do a lot of moving around and going out. They're everything, man. We watch movies together, we debate together. They're like little grown people, you know. I never really understood that until like really this quarantine has also helped me look at them differently. Like y'all really are thinking on your own, you know. As a parent, you always try to teach them, don't do this, don't do that, and then you start seeing them develop into their own little tiny fucking person. So it's really, as long as it's not inappropriate or hurting anybody, I let them do whatever, you know. Like you have to explore yourself, because I look back at my childhood, I just, yes, sir, and did whatever my dad asked me to do, never thinking twice about it. And it created like a type of fear of him, and also scared to be and think outside the box, you know? And I don't want to put them inside of that. That's one thing as a father I pride myself on, is letting them be like as free as they want to be. They wear what they want to wear, as long as it's appropriate and it's not offending anybody. As far as like words, I have mostly girls, and they're growing and filling out clothes. And at first, it made me uncomfortable. I'm like, fuck it. Like, you know, it's just weird. Like, I don't know, man.
And at this
It's
point,
different.
At this point,
Yeah.
you've now been confined in the house with them for like 2 months. How's that go?
I hate them now. Like, I want paternity tests now. Like, I gotta make sure keep this up. Well, it's been both, right? So again, like the homeschooling was tough. Like I had to relearn some shit. I had to go and brush up on science, and I'm good at math. I'm good at writing in English, but the fucking science was like, what? What is?
If somebody
I've
asked me
never
what a
used that in my adult life.
if somebody asked me what a mitochondria is, I have no idea.
Hey, so
And I
so
kinda
make it
wanna
straight.
tell
There's a
them,
dozen
like,
people in your house.
Yeah, well, yeah, because we're all like quarantined together, right? It's myself, my oldest daughter's mom, and my youngest daughter's mom. We like, we're gonna quarantine, we're gonna pack it all up in one house, and just deal with the shit, you know?
Man,
I
that
don't
sounds
know
like
if
a
that's one of my
reality
best
show. Like
ideas.
you need to like have a bunch of cameras, and that is a reality show right there.
Yeah, I haven't won a single argument since the quarantine started. The double team. Yeah.
Is this why you're alone outside right now?
Yeah, this is the only place, man. This is the only place I can go. It's outside to be away from. Hold on one second. Speaking of, hold on one moment.
What's happening right
This has never happened on Words and Shit. Now, this might be the shit part of the words, you know. I don't know.
now?
I'm back.
All right.
We're good. Yeah,
We're here.
I think that's it's a very smart move. I think especially in the position that you're in to just not win arguments, just let them have it.
Because even if you do win, you lose. You lose.
Yes. I totally.
You got to deal with the uncomfortable silence. Like I'm not quick to like say I'm sorry, but I'll bow out an argument real quick, man. Like, you know what, this shit means nothing. Like, we could have Corona. Like, let's not do this shit.
But what's the difference then between dealing with family, like you're dealing with these arguments, the ones that you're not winning or just backing away from, and a poetry team?
There is no difference. There is no difference. Wow, no, there's no difference.
No. Sometimes you just gotta like, I ain't winning this argument.
Yeah.
Back
Fuck
out.
it, it's anything. Fine, make it a groupie. So I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a moment last night where my husband and I got into it, and I was like, you know what? It is too late in the evening. I'm not even sure why we're fighting right now, so I'm just gonna go up to bed. I love you. Goodbye.
Oh man, I do that with the TV because I live alone. All right. Hey, what's the difference then? I mean, you've been writing for a while now, and have you been writing love poems for a while?
I would write love poems and just stop because I'm not good at that, you know. It's not, and it's weird because it's not hard for me to express myself as a person to my partner. It's just writing it on stage or just putting it together. Like I'm so conflicted with my own thoughts of love right now, you know. So it's hard for me to be concrete about it and put it in a form. I like to be certain about what it is I'm writing about sometimes, you know. And love is something I'm not certain about. I love my kids, I love their mothers, I love poetry. But as far as love and relationships, I'm so all over the place when it comes to it.
Well, that's the follow-up then. Yeah, like what's the difference then between those kind of poems in your 20s versus in your 30s?
Now it's more hurt, right? At first it was more I've been through more hurt, right? But the biggest thing is being able to unpack certain feelings better. In my 20s, I would just stuff that shit deep down in my gut and be like, I'm good. Now, like, I got grays growing in now, right? So it's like, I got to breathe. Like, I'm aging fast. bottling all this shit in. So just being able to process and unpack and really self-reflect on myself rather than the person I'm in love with, you know.
Wendy Jones left a comment here in the Facebook feed, and she basically says, "Bullshit. You're good at it. You just hate writing them."
That two things can be true. Two things can be true. Okay.
Yeah. Man.
Hey, Wendy Jones.
That's right. Hey, Wendy. Glad you joined us.
So let's talk about that, because you brought it up right now. You know, like in your 20s, you were your own self, and now you in your 30s. But you know, like 30s is the new 20s. Yes, can we agree?
Yeah, seriously, seriously. Like when I was 20, I felt like I was racing, like trying to get shit done before I'm 30 in the gray and can't do shit, right? Like I'm thinking 30 is done, right? I get here to 30 and like life starts over, like everything. Like I feel like I'm at the peak of everything. You know, I'm still learning still, but it's like sex, love, everything is just, the world moves slower. Again, like being able to point out arguments before they start, being able to communicate effectively. Like I wasn't a good communicator when I was 20. Now I get it. Now it's like, fuck it, right? That word, like fuck it, you know, like fuck it. This didn't happen. Short on a light bill, this, but now in 20, I would panic, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, now I'm gonna do that. But now at 30, it's like, the worst they can do is cut the lights off, right?
Right.
The worst I can do is run out of gas while I'm driving. Once you really, I guess 30 is an acceptance phase in life, right? Where you start accepting the things that you can't change and have no power over.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing 40, I don't know what 40 is going to be like, but if it's the jump that I have from 20 to 30, then I should be like a fucking Jedi master when I'm 40.
Yeah.
Life happens fucking quick, man.
Yeah, I feel like in my 20s, you make a lot of mistakes, you know, and then you have a lot more knowledge to where in your 30s, you can now do the things you were doing in your 20s, but much more effectively. And I'm hoping that by the time when I get to my 40s, I'll have the money to do the things that I wanted to do in my 30s, but was too broke to do.
There you go. There you go.
I think maybe 40 is like when you know that these are mistakes, but you're gonna do them anyway, but you're okay with the consequences.
What is
maybe.
like 40?
Yeah. maybe. Hey, I got the question now. God, my eyes skipped the page here. But you write a lot about issues. You said you're a P.O.C. enthusiast. There's a lot of writing about race in your poems. What do you say to people who say that maybe you're writing too much about race issues? Like, isn't there something else out there?
I've come to the realization, I used to always say Black poems, right? I think you and I had this similar conversation at Southern Pride, Eddie. Like, it's not a Black, it's, even if I'm not using the word Black or referring to my skin, it's a Black poem because I'm a Black poet, right? If they don't like it, they low-key racist, right? Like, how could you have a problem with me explaining my life, you know? Well, you should write more about this. I'm like, okay, it's still gonna be from a Black fucking perspective, right? Sometimes I will go like touring. I miss touring, but touring. I would be at like all white venues, and for so long, I was really uncomfortable with doing poems that talked about Black injustice, right? Because you know the whole white guilt and all that shit, right? I don't want the white people. It was weird, right? I had to grow out of that. So now when I'm at white venues, I'm about to do the Blackest fucking poem I have. Right? If I can do it in a room full of Black people, that's preaching to the choir, right? They know the struggle. We write these poems really to be heard at the end of the day. And who better to hear it than the people who gone through guilty or don't know what it's like, right? Learning patience through this whole process of poetry is like, I'm gonna do this Black poem not because it's gonna score high, but because I need someone in here to hear it. right?
Mhm.
And once I start genuinely like thinking about what message I want to put on stage, my performance is higher, my energy is higher because I'm excited about what it is I'm saying. If I go on a slam and I'm thinking, okay, I got to do a black poem because I need to score, then I lost already, right? Because I'm trying to strategize my feelings. At the end of the day, poetry is a fucking art form. There's people that don't like slamming, and I get it, but I'm competitive. I like it. But what I found is like being genuine, understanding like these black poems, if people don't like it, there's a reason. There's honestly a reason. If you don't like hearing an LGBTQ poem or any poem that deals with a community that you're not a part of, if it makes you uncomfortable, if you don't like it, you have issues that you need to work out.
Yeah. And I think it's the same way, even in competition, like, you know, where you're having to make that decision between the poem you want to do or the poem you think is going to score well. Anytime you don't go with the poem that you want to do, it ends up not scoring well, right? Because you're not in it, you know. So I think there's a level of authenticity that one has to learn through trial and error. That's always just do the poem that you feel like you need to do, whether or not it's going to make a room full of people uncomfortable. Because, like you said, if it does, well, it's probably doing the work you meant it to do.
Yes, yes, the work, the fucking work.
Yes, sir. So you mentioned, you know, you miss touring. You tour a lot, right? Tell us, for those who are watching, or tell us what that's like. Life on the road, touring poets, you know, working.
Man, being like completely honest, it's amazing. In hindsight, once it's over, you look back and you're like, yo, I had a fucking ball. But last year, like I was on the road for 3 months straight, right? And it was hell. Saving money, making the money and saving it was the biggest fucking thing. The catching the flights, those days was like, it's a turnaround trip or it's a one-night show. I'm not getting a room. I'm about to do the show and sleep at the Greyhound station or sleep at the airport. Like, I encourage everybody to try it. Just go out there because you meet so many different people, so many different scenes. I've never been to a venue that's like, oh, this is just like that venue. They're all completely different.
Yeah.
Different styles of writing and performance and being able to soak that in and apply it to my craft, right? But being on the road, you miss your family. The money is good when you know how to manage it, man. Like if you make $600 in a night, like fucking act like you make $30, bro. Like don't go to the biggest fucking restaurant. Go get a fucking dollar menu. Like you have to be, the money part can make it. Like I was actually stranded for a week in New York City, the most expensive place on earth. Because I had a great show. I made like $800, right? Just tips and people cash apping, buying merch, buying shirts. And by the end of the night, I had like $200 in my pocket. I'm like, wait, what the fuck did you do? Like I got an expensive hotel, ordered room service, went to the bar, and I'm just sitting in fucking New York City for a week and have to scramble, put shows together. And it was, but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. I would do it all again, though, right? I would do it all again. Just, it's tough. Poets, if you tour, if you go on the road for long periods of time, manage your money, have a traveling strategy, a plan A, a plan B, and save your fucking money.
Yeah.
Be smart. Have merch, quality merch.
Yeah, I remember when I was touring last fall, like I was having a conversation with my dad, and he's like, "Son, I'm just so happy that you have this opportunity to travel and enjoy yourself and relax and just be, you know." I'm like, "No, this is work, sir." I'm my own manager, publicist, accountant, you know, chauffeur, the writing and the memorizing, like it's a grind.
Was there a city?
Shout out to the poets who host poets when they come into town, that offer a bed, that offer a fucking couch, Like y'all are fucking amazing, man. Like it's fucking tough. And people that open that door at first, I was like, it was beneath me. Like, I'm not sleeping on the fucking couch. I'm not sleeping in your guest bedroom. But shit, after a while, it's like, fuck it. I'll sleep with the dog, bro. Like this shit is tough. When I got kids at home, like I'm not out here doing this for fun. I have to bring back something, you know?
Yeah.
And thank you. Shout out to the people that offer.
You want to name a few?
Traveling poets.
Give them a shout out.
Anna
Martinez. Yeah, in Albuquerque.
all of Albuquerque, everybody in Albuquerque. Chibi, you've housed poets. You've housed Dallas poets, man. Everybody. I can't remember them all, but y'all know who y'all are, man.
I mean, we gotta take care of each other, you know. And my favorite thing about that is whenever people do offer, how apologetic.
And Wendy Jones, especially Wendy Jones. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good. How apologetic they are. They're like, well, you're free to stay with me, but all I have is this little, you know, like guest bedroom with like a small bed. I'm like, that. Otherwise, I would have nowhere. You know,
oh man,
grateful for all the people and what they do. So.
Was there a particular venue or city that really surprised you?
I have two. Seattle, Washington was so fucking beautiful. Like this little, it always looked gloomy, right? And I stayed in like this really, I guess it's like got an Airbnb. No, there was an app, right, called Couch Surfers, right? And it's for traveling artists and musicians. You stay for free. All you have to do is share your culture with whoever is hosting you. That could be telling stories about you being on the road or cooking a dish, right? Whatever. It's free. So this dude like had this fucking mansion, like house on the hill, and I'm looking down at like the fall. And that was in Seattle. I thought Seattle was about to be a fucking drag, but Rain City Slam with I featured with them, Seattle Slam, the Everett Poetry Nights. The venues were beautiful. And the second city has to be Boston, Massachusetts. I was out there. I did 2 weeks. I was there for 2 weeks. Did 9 or 10 shows. And this was like February of 2019. And it was fucking freezing. I've never been that cold in my life. But I still enjoyed it because it's the different climate. The houses are built different. They're like these old school 4-story project homes, right? They look very haunted houses, right? It's just, it's weird. You have to, I don't know if you guys ever been to Boston, but it's just different there, right? It's those two cities blew me away.
And they're on opposite coasts, you know, so.
Yeah.
Old city. Yeah. Before we switch topics real quick, because people are asking in the comments, if somebody does want to purchase your book or Cash App or Venmo you, where can one do so?
You can Cash App me at $ Dreadful Poet. That's $ DREADFULPOET. I would prefer that, like, so you have the option to leave a note, leave your address in the note, or you can inbox me personally on Facebook or Instagram. Instagram is dreadful_poet. And Facebook is Wayne Henry. Shoot me a request, shoot me the chat books are $10. I'm sending them out. I'm having some issues sending them. I think it's the stamps I'm using. They're not expired because stamps don't expire, but they're not acceptable. Like when they're going, like the stamps are really old, right? So they're like, nah, we can't accept them. So I have a lot of backlog going on, but yeah, the $10, $10, you can Cash App that. I have no Venmo. I do have a Venmo. It's dreadful_poet. And yeah, I'll just inbox me and we can work something out.
Hey, and Ana Martinez just joined, and I'm like, Ana, you had a shout out like 5 minutes ago before you were on here. Just want to let her know that.
Yo, Ana, I was telling him how much of a
bedroom.
great host you were. I lived there. Like I walk around there. I will practically walk around there naked. Like I feel so at home there.
Oh yeah, she has a beautiful house, and then just
Oh yeah, it is.
getting. I got my tarot read by her. I think you did too. It was
I think everybody in the room has got
a wonderful experience.
Shit,
at least
it
once in
was
their life.
terrifying. It was terrifying how accurate it was.
Yes.
Quick story. I was out there when Rage passed. He had literally called me the night of. And he thought I was in Dallas. We wanted to hang out. And I'm like, bro, I'm in Albuquerque, you know? And got the news like 2 o'clock that morning.
Mm-hmm.
And she just was like, when I'm emotionally, like, I don't take loss well, right? But Anna held me down, man. She was like, yo, we can counter this fucking feature. We can get you back to Dallas as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. And then I heard Rage in my mind, make your money, nigga. So I'm like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna do these shows and I'm gonna, unpack and then head back to Dallas. And Anna, thank you. Anna, thank you. You are a lifesaver, a friend, and I love you dearly.
Yeah, I think anyone who's ever come in contact with Anna has definitely felt like they have found, like a little poetry mom of sorts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. And hold on, real quick. I gotta cut this light on because I look a little.
The sun is going down.
Sun's going down in Dallas.
Sun's going down, big buddy. All right.
You're a big fan of.
Oh,
okay, go ahead.
Hold on, real quick. I met your sister Chibi at Southwest Shootout, and the whole time I'm there, I'm like, who the fuck does she look like? Like I'm just staring at her the whole fucking night, and I'm like, I know her. I've seen her from somewhere, and then she introduced herself to me. She's like, my brother. And I'm like, who's your brother? Like Chibi. I'm like, there the fuck it is. Okay.
There it is. There it is.
Chibi with a wig on, man. Like, okay.
Funny story. So everybody used to say that my sister looks probably still like Sandra Bullock. And then one day I did drag and somebody was like, oh my God, you look just like Sandra Bullock. And I'm like, yep, there it is. There it is. It's undeniable. Chibi with a wig on. That's funny. Eddie,
you're a big fan. Yeah. You're a big fan of The Office, Wayne?
Oh yeah. I love The Office. I literally watch it every single day.
What is it about The Office that I don't know, does it inspire you or is it just kind of a release?
It's just funny. It's just fucking funny. I enjoy good writing and the writing for each show, like every episode is directed or written by a different cast member, right? And I just really enjoy how consistent the characters are and the growth over time. Like to me, one of the greatest love stories on TV is Jim and fucking Pam, right? And I have a poem I'm working on. It's like, am I Jim or am I Roy, right? So, because I've never met a woman that wasn't a good woman, but it never worked. So it's like, yo, Wayne, you're the problem. So are you Jim or are you Roy? That's coming for the next Nerd Slam.
Yeah, I think I saw a meme out there that said something along the lines of like, there are two kinds of people in the world. The ones that like The Office and everybody else.
Yeah. It's a funny show, man. It's funny. I've never not laughed on a single episode. Like we just finished. I had the kids sit down and watch it. Like I've been making these kids watch everything. Like Star Wars, they've watched like all. I said, you guys have the luxury of being able to sit down and watch it in a day or two. I had to wait years growing up, like 10 years for the next movie or, so. Yeah, and this time they say not too much TV, but I think it's like a form of time travel. You find these old shows that you watched as a kid and you feel yourself in that living room you were in growing up, or you smell that carpet that was in the old house that you grew up in. And it's fucking amazing, man.
Yeah.
Are the shows holding up for you though? I mean, are they as good today as they were when you first saw them?
No, The Wire is trash.
Oh,
The Wire
really?
Is trash, man. It's so predictable.
I'm
watching it
but you already saw it once.
Yeah, that part. But I don't know. I watched Sopranos again. I'm like, okay, this show fucking stands. Breaking Bad stands. living single stands, Martin stands, but the shield stands.
But the wire gets a thumbs down.
That might be some fine words. I'm
Season.
gonna see in the comments if anybody says anything about that. I don't know.
I know, right? Everyone's
like,
quiet.
I'm waiting.
So.
There's some Wire fans in the group up here.
They know it's trash. They just love it for the culture.
I was gonna say you might disown me after this one, but I definitely fall into the category of people that don't watch The Office. And I don't know what it is. I've tried a couple.
All right, guys, it's been a great show. Thank you for having me. No, have you tried?
I've tried, and maybe like, do I have to watch them in sequential order? Is that what I'm missing here? Because I've watched like
to see the growth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not really like, yeah. You can't just start like season 3, episode 8, right?
Yeah, some basically.
But then again, it's also like trash sometimes. Like some of the jokes are trash. It's problematic as fuck. But I really like comedy, so I just get it. I get it.
I have to confess, I tried once too, and I cringed so much in that first episode that I just couldn't watch the next one.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
But I did see that one about the fire. The one about the fire drill or whatever they had. My students made me watch that one, and that one I gotta admit, I mean, I was laughing the whole time
hilarious. Through. Like it was a joke. One of the characters didn't want to do blackface, so he did black neck instead. Like a little black neck right there on his neck.
Oh, no.
Yo, this shit should not be funny, but here we are, and I'm laughing my ass off.
And see, I'm more of a drama kind of guy. Like I want to watch something whose life is worse than mine, so I can stop thinking about my problems.
So, what's your go-to show, Chibi? What's your go-to?
Well, I just finished Breaking Bad, watching it again for the 3rd time, I think. And then, what do we currently have on rotation? We're watching The Outsider on HBO. We started Tiger King.
Oh no!
It happened.
Yo,
Wayne, what you don't know, Wayne, is that Chibi has refused to watch Tiger King the entire quarantine.
I have,
despite what everybody's been saying.
And we're watching it. And I'm literally like, both me and my husband are just watching it. Like, what the fuck is happening?
It's greatness. And it just confirms my thought, like white people are fucking crazy. There's not a single black person,
not a single person,
Latin person on the show. They're all white.
Oh,
like, Jesus Christ!
Okay.
Where do you get money to buy tigers?
It's only $2,000, Wayne. So
That's it.
That's it. $2,000. You do like
that's like what, like 3 nights of touring without spending money anywhere else,
And you know what? It's weird watching that. We should do like a poetry documentary. Like, there's so much shit that this quarantine is showing us poets. Like, there's so much more we can be doing. There's so much more. We got really complacent on being on stage and slamming. There's so much that we can be doing.
Totally agree.
Like, if they can make money, like, why? Let's switch gears a little bit. So we're talking about TV. What about music? What music is getting you through quarantine right now? What music is getting you through life in general these days?
The Weeknd. The Weeknd. If y'all follow me on Instagram, I post a Weeknd song every single day. The Weeknd, Drake, listening to old Common records, Mos Def, Talib Kweli. My daughters put me on to Billie Eilish. Billie
Eilish, yeah.
Yeah.
She's got
phenomenal writing. Phenomenal. And Juice WRLD, surprisingly.
I am unfamiliar.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's one of those new rappers with. Well, I think he passed. He died trying to smuggle drugs into an airport. Like, he tried to hide it in his mouth and accidentally swallowed all the pills and died of an overdose.
Oh my God.
So what do you think about that this moment then that you're in where your kids are introducing you to music?
I feel old. and out of touch. I feel old and out of touch. But the fun part is every now and then they'll play a song, and then I will make me feel even older. It's like I know the sample that song gives. Let me play you the original song, you know. And I have them listening to Nas now. They're listening to, because I grew up in California, so I had them listening to Corrupt, Snoop Dogg's whole catalog, The Game. We're all just learning each other, like in a different type of way, a more intimate way.
Yeah. And what's interesting is like that culture seems to be, you know, my parents, I would always say, oh, everything's coming back, everything's coming back. And I would just roll my eyes because they were saying that the 60s were coming back when I was in the 90s and stuff like that and whatever. And like now I'm looking at my son, he's got a Boys in the Hood shirt that he wears. He's got a Snoop Dogg shirt that he wears, you know, and he's 16.
Wow.
And I'm like, have you ever watched Boys in the Hood? Do you know who Doughboy is? You know? He's like, of course I did. He was
you
lying,
cry
but then he
when
went back
Ricky
and
got
watched
shot
it.
in the alley?
Yeah. If you didn't, then you don't know. You don't got it, you know?
You don't deserve that shirt,
Yo, another
sir.
show. I'm sorry, I forgot a show. Fucking Pose blew my mind.
Pose.
Oh yeah, Pose is phenomenal. Oh, the other one, Ozark. Ozark is great.
Ozark is gold. Ozark is fucking gold.
That was gold.
I feel like that's so 4 weeks ago.
The last episode of the last season, Jesus Christ.
I was like,
no spoilers.
Yeah, we're not gonna say anything. No spoilers. But,
yeah, but I don't like that lawyer girl. I'm gonna say that. I don't like her. I'm not gonna say anything else. Just don't like that lawyer.
Okay. She definitely portrayed someone you want to hate. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
That was good.
I got one quick question because you talked about your Instagram, but I'm more interested in your Facebook, and I read your Facebook on like a lot, and you always are making me laugh, and it's not just that it's funny, but it's so incredibly clever, and you've got people out there saying, take the damn phone from him, that he's not allowed to post anymore, put him in a corner, you know, put him in timeout.
I've been kicked out the team so many times.
You could be a meme master, sir, because it is real smart.
Right. Do you have like an inspiration? What's your secret? What's your secret on that? How are you getting so clever? And is there another light you possibly have in your house?
Now I'm just at a black screen.
Okay, I'll say this, right? So for people that don't know me, right? Poets that don't know me, they automatically assume I'm mean. And I'm okay with that because I'm really not a people person. But the people that like actually grow on me, I have a good sense of humor. Like I'm joking all the fucking time, you know? It's just not something I share with strangers. And when I post those memes, it's like, I want it to be petty, but I also want it to be like, okay, but you laughing, but you like, but nah, he ain't lying though. Like,
I think my favorite is
PSI.
Yes, that one, the PSI Enron one. For anybody who doesn't know, it was when everyone was doing that one meme of I'm gonna tell my kids this was, and Wayne posted, I'm gonna tell my kids this was PSI, Poetry Slam International or Incorporated, and then it was a picture of the Enron logo, which hit on so many levels. And I'm sure there were some of the younger poets out there wondering what that E was, you know, but
yeah. All right. Well, if you people watching, if you need more of that, if you need more Wayne Henry, follow him on Facebook or Instagram, or are you on the Twitter sphere?
Nah, I'm not on Twitter.
Not on Twitter sphere. Have you fallen into the TikTok hole yet?
No, I watch my kids do it every day. I'm not impressed. No.
All right.
They haven't gotten you one of their videos yet.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Wayne Henry. I feel like yours is one of those names that, like, I can't just call you Wayne. You're Wayne Henry. I would love it if you could close us out with one more poem while we can still kind of sort of see you, because it is getting really dark in Dallas.
Yo. So I'll end this piece like I end every feature with one of my most personal pieces. You can watch it on YouTube. It's called Honesty. This is a poet's attempt at honesty. honestly, I have to get really drunk to write about my life and put it in a poem. It's like Hennessy and tequila numbs the hurt of truth as it hurricanes through my teeth. My truth. My truth is fire and brimstone raining down from the eyes of heaven. So I make umbrellas out of my insecurities just to stand there in the flames. My addiction to burning beautifully makes me believe that some days I'm not the poet of my poems and my pen and my demons scribble agony across my face like war paint. No, honestly, I write love letters for angels to give to God because I'm too afraid to face him personally. Like I won't survive the glare of his judgment. More afraid that God just might be one giant vanity mirror reflecting all of my flaws that he created in his image, my beautiful bipolar Jesus, but I digress. I have a habit of picking my own scabs or scratching to the sight of blood. My mother tells me it's something I do out of nervousness. My ex says that it's me obsessing over scars before they occur, that I'm just afraid to be beautiful. But honestly, beautiful things rather be avoided and left alone than to be loved just to become broken. No, honestly, beautiful broken things daydream about one day becoming monsters, because monsters can never be weak, be vulnerable, be fragile, or anything that makes us look like victims, because victims stand out like the nose of Pinocchio when placed on the lap of Geppetto and asked how it feels to be alive. How does it feel to be a real boy? No, honestly, some victims grow to be 6'4", dark-skinned, dreadhead, baritone poets screaming for help in between the safety of metaphors, help looking for words that make being molested as a child feel like a spiritual masculine cleansing of his fingerprints, breath, and saliva escaping the confines of my pores, help. I hide pain like treasure in chest or prisoner in rib cage, help. I grow tired of slicing my silence on simile and soliloquy because help is too weak of a word for a batshit crazy black man, still insane enough to believe that one day he can be loved because my two lips have a habit of kissing a woman's temple into demolition. Then I try to rebuild her from the rubble like I didn't just ruin everything that she structured to make me smile. So honestly, I'm a black cloud, raining inside of a glass house, begging to break out before I break down, and all that can be found are whispers of poems that never had a chance to make a sound because heaven sends me love letters with no return address. So it feels like I'm writing myself in hopes to write myself, and I'm not sure if God is proud of the mess that I make of me. So if ever my poems sound like prayers, it's because I stand on the stage and pretend that you are the ears of heaven, and these words are the shadow of my crucifixion, nailing myself to the microphone. No, honestly, these poems are really a gift from a poet too broken, too tired, and sometimes too sober to keep fighting alone. But thank you for carrying all of my burdens and helping me wash away all of these sins. At the end of my poems, I pretend that you are heaven. At the end of my poems, I pretend that you are my God. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, Mr. Win Henry, for joining us all the way from Dallas. It's amazing because like the darker it gets over, like it's starting to get dark here in San Antonio. It's kind of like noticing that gradation. You know, it's kind of interesting.
If I would have went outside, y'all wouldn't have been able to hear me. So.
No problem.
With 12 people living there right now. All right. Well, everyone, thank you guys for tuning in. That was Wayne Henry, an amazing poet featuring here and having this fantastic conversation. Like we said earlier, if you want to support Wayne Henry, find him on Facebook or Instagram, or just Cash App him. It's Dreadful Poet, DREADFUL POET. There's an underscore there in his Instagram. We posted it in the comments, so you can find it there. $10 for a chapbook. So support your poets if you love them. Buy their books. Tip them. We are so happy that you were able to join us here. This was a great conversation, a great break from the day.
I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Hey,
so
we
much.
enjoyed having you
too.
And
For
should be
those-
next week.
next week.
Next week we have.
Tell
That's
me,
right.
tell me.
Felita Hicks coming
The one
in
and
from
only.
Oh shit!
San Marcos.
Yes, by
That's
way of
right.
Austin, currently in San Marcos, poet, published author, activist, organizer, editor-in-chief, actually,
Mhm.
of Borderlands Poetry, accolades upon accolades upon accolades. So next Thursday, we'll be back 7:30 here on the Blah Poetry Spot's Facebook. And as always, the other shows that the Blah Poetry Spot is putting on, we've got a writers group on Sunday, 2:00. That's on Zoom, so be on the lookout for the link. And Monday nights is our open mic, also on Zoom. So if you want to join, follow the Blah Poetry Spot or Write Art Out on Instagram. I think I've said it all.
That's right.
That was everything.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining
Wayne
us.
Henry, take care of yourself.
Good night, Wayne.
Y'all too. Do the same.
Adios, yo.
Hasta luego.